So Jim Woods, editor, Intelligence Report. Russell Hawley, managing editor, Future Labs. Thank you both for being with us. Jim, I'll begin with you. What do you think about Micron, which was playing some catch up to, let's say, the SMH and some of the other names? Good numbers. Now what?
Well, Micron did something what I call it Micron shrugged. It's a kind of a spin on my favorite novel, Atlas Shrugged. They looked at the markets and they just kept on making money in the face of this pandemic. They did not shut down fabrication or assembly sites throughout the whole time. And as you just mentioned, they had a blowout quarter. And the most important thing I think here is that Micron said that their fiscal Q4 is going to be even better. So they don't see any slowdown going forward. And I think that bodes well for the entire sector. I think it's the beginning of another bull market cycle for the semiconductors. And I'm very encouraged about this Micron beat. It was quite good.
Yeah, Russell, what do you make of it? Because prior to the numbers, we heard that they were cautiously optimistic going forward to the back half of the year. They have these great numbers. They saw high demand. The analyst, BMO, for example, was concerned about their pricing power. I'm not sure. Can they continue this kind of greatness? And does it really reflect for the rest of the sector of semis?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of the initial concern came from the same concern that came from anywhere, is that manufacturing in this period is kind of complicated, and if Micron was able to move past that, then that's great. The big thing moving forward for Micron is the increased demand for anything that's cloud streaming. Right now there are tons and tons of people who are working at home who were not previously working at home, and that increase in remote services means that there are servers somewhere that need to be expanded upon, and we're seeing that reflected in so many different aspects of corporate America right now. And a big part of that is going to continue being Micron, being able to feed hardware into these places that are expanding.
Now, what about the competition? Let's expand it out. Jim, we talked about, you talked about DRAM revenue, the average selling price, right? These are some of the things that come, the NAND revenue, also higher. What does this number mean? And you're going to be watching some of the other names, Jim.
Yeah, well, they executed perfectly on both segments of their markets, the DRAM and the NAND chips. And as we just heard, that it was the crisis, the work from home kind of momentum that caused them to increase their data center memory chip demand. So they were able to fulfill that data center memory because, as we all know, everybody's working from home now. And I think that trend is going to continue for at least another quarter. I mean, it looks like that in terms of the the pandemic type of environment we're in. So, I mean, that right there is another genesis. And now take that to the rest of the industry. The rest of the industry is going to see a similar type demand because all of the big makers, Intel, Xilinx, AMD, they all have similar cloud businesses, maybe not exactly the same mix, but they're all supplying chips to these different data centers. And even the companies that are primarily more computer oriented, they're still doing well because they're still getting upgrades from different PCs. I mean, PC sales are slower, but people do need more equipment because they're working from home now more. So, I mean, there's a modest upgrade cycle in the devices, but then there's a big upside in the data center demand. So combine those two together and you're looking at some pretty good tailwinds for the whole sector, particularly Micron, but the whole sector. So it's good.
Russell, you make a great point with that, Jim. And Russell, Jim mentioned Xilinx. We just showed NVIDIA and Lam Research and AMD. But just on the Xilinx news, just so folks know that, Xilinx actually gave a forecast, a revenue boost. And as a result, the chip maker forecast a rise in revenue this morning. And we had more than 5 analysts all boosting their price targets, Russell. You think that's a good sign? I mean, are you feeling optimistic about the group? Because the SMH and the SOX up about 30% for the quarter. Best quarter since 2001 for this group.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that everyone did when they needed to work from home was rush out and buy new computers, and so that was kind of an unexpected boost for this sector to begin with. And then we're seeing kind of the future, kind of growth when it comes to people switching to cloud services, like I mentioned earlier. The one thing that leaves me a little bit on the cautious side here is we're seeing this kind of gap. Especially in the US right now, where it's harder to get a hold of some of the higher end PC equipment for home builders. There's a report not long ago that said that the average cost of building your own PC right now has increased by about 23% due to the just difficulty getting a hold of materials in the pandemic right now. And if that continues, that could end up being kind of troublesome when it comes to people trying to either expand on their existing work from home equipment or trying to build something new as we move into the next quarter. It's just not immediately clear how long that stop and how long that delay is going to impact the store shelves. Now that's still just one part of this. Obviously having the commercial sales are still very different, and we're still seeing an increase there when it comes to commercial stuff. But the consumer space does have me a little concerned.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. And that could be a real supply and demand thing, right? The way we were paying for those Clorox wipes, same concept. Russell Holly, managing editor, Future Labs, Jim Woods, editor, Intelligence Report. Thank you both.